Good morning, and welcome to the Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. The date is Tuesday, October 19th. The time is 9 a.m. We will stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Madam Chair, I have an amendment. I have an add of MOAs for health insurance change, and if I could put this under administration as 11.2.
Okay. Are there any other adds or corrections? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. We'll do the consent items, Denise.
Meeting minute approval for October 5th, 2021. Resignation of heavy equipment operator Brian Anderson, 10/29/2021. Resignation support enforcement aide Vanessa Eisenbrown, 10/29/2021. And a gambling permit for the Stratton Blackbirds.
Okay, is there a motion for the consent items?
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
The auditor treasurer items today are approved commissioner warrants. Background was sent for your review. Recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $118,728.47.
Okay, is there a motion for the commissioner warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Knizel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call?
Commissioner Knizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
The next item then is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $77,478.95.
Is there a motion for the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll do roll call.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Knizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
The next item is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background was sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a regular manual payment totaling in the amount of $63,221.79.
Is there a motion for the Health and Human Services SSIS warrants?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Erickson?
Yes.
Commissioner Knizel?
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Adopting the 2022 county fee schedule. Background, Todd County has built the county fee schedule to be implemented for 2022, and a public hearing was held on October 5th, 2021, to gather any public input on the proposed fees. Our options are to approve and adopt this fee schedule or do not, or you can also choose the option to alter any fees you'd wish to. Our recommendation at this time is to adopt the 2022 county fee schedule to be effective January 1st, 2022, per the attached document.
Is there a motion for the adoption of the 2022 county fee schedule?
So moved.
Motion by Knizel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Denise, did anybody have any feedback on any of it?
Yeah, we went through that at the work session. I didn't
Okay.
bring that documentation, but some departments that had some changes. I know the recorder's
Public,
office.
I should say,
Oh,
correct
public?
myself,
No,
public
No
feedback.
public comment.
Okay,
Just department heads with a few changes.
yeah, during that work session.
Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes.
during the year, if we see some concerns with some fees, can we change them during the year?
You would have to amend this fee schedule
Yeah.
because this is a
But would
resolution.
we have to have a public hearing then
Yeah.
if we wanted to change a couple of them?
I believe you'd have to resolve this.
Even to
and then-
reduce them, we'd have to have a public meeting?
I believe so, because you're changing something that
Mhm.
affects the
Okay.
entire, anything that's
Could you
countywide.
check into that, please? I would like to have that checked into. if you
Sure.
would. Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
The next item is the forfeited, non-conservation land approval for DNR forfeited land review. Background is, review failed motion from the October 5th, 2021 meeting. According to Minnesota Statute 282.01, the county board must classify tax forfeited lands as conservation or non-conservation before the next steps may be taken in the tax forfeit sale preparation. Once classifications are determined, then these parcels are sent out for review to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. The DNR is directed by state law to review, authorize, and approve the proposed tax forfeited land sales if the tax forfeited land property contains certain features. One of the 35 parcels that forfeited for non-payment of taxes on July 9th, 2021, there is one parcel identified as required the DNR's specific approval. However, the full list of parcels is submitted for the DNR's affirmation to release for sale. The county board must classify these parcels and have the DNR review of record to proceed with public sale of these forfeited parcels. Failure to complete these steps would result in lost opportunity for the public to purchase said parcels and lapse in property tax revenue for the county and related taxing jurisdictions. Options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve. The recommendation is to approve the attached resolution for classification of tax forfeited properties and requesting the approval from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for the sale of tax forfeited land sales.
Okay. Is there a motion for land approval for the DNR forfeited land review?
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is something that our legislatures have to take a look at if we want anything to change. You know, from the DNR getting their first hands on anything that has to do with water. So let them deal with it.
Any further discussion?
Roll call, Madam Chair, please.
Okay. We'll do roll call.
Commissioner Newman,
Yes.
Commissioner Erickson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kneisel,
Yes.
Commissioner Kircher,
No.
Commissioner Becker.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then Lauren, Public Works.
All right, good morning.
Melissa? Good morning.
So I'll kind of start the conversation here. Earlier this summer, the city of Staples reached out to me. They were interested in applying for basically a block grant included in the state bonding bill, and the grant is specifically called the Safe Routes to School program. This is a pot of money in the bonding bill that cities, townships, and school districts primarily can tap into to fund improvements, capital improvement projects, specifically trails and sidewalks, to help improve mobility, walk, bike, for students getting access to schools. But with that, if the city or the school district is applying for that money and they're not a state aid city, they have to partner with the county to act as their fiscal sponsor to help them through the state aid process. So with that, Gerald reached out to me. We had some good discussions, and basically they've put together a good project and good program. And as part of that, in order to apply for that money, they have to get a letter of intent and a letter of sponsorship with the county to help them through that process. So with that, I'll kind of hand it over to Gerald, and you can kind of summarize the project and the process you've been involved with up to this point.
Sure. Thanks, Lauren. Gerald Nelson, City Administrator up in Staples, and I also have Melissa Wyman, our Economic Development Director, who has been working on this, I guess, for a number of years, going back to the 2017 plan. But I don't know, do we have a copy of the proposed route map up there at all? Oh, there we go. So to give you a little bit of an idea of the scope of what we're talking about with the Safe Routes to School letter of intent and hopefully ultimately an application, you can see where the tennis courts are. Just to the upper right of that is the Staples Motley Elementary School. Looking to make basically a trail connection from our existing Legacy Trail over to 4th Street. And then also, Denise, if you can scroll down just a little bit, that north-south blue trail right there would run from the high school up to the elementary school. There's a lot of pedestrian activity going between those two buildings. And then down just a little bit further, back when the north-south corridor and railroad overpass project was done, there was not a connection made from the trail on Airport Road into that downtown area. And what we've seen since the overpass was put in place is that there's a lot of students that walk across the bridge, and once they get across the bridge, there's kind of nowhere to go to get to the school. There's no sidewalk or trail along 3rd Avenue. So as part of the project, we would like to make that connection. Right now they're walking basically on the curb line to get into the downtown area and to the high school. So there's really those 3 trail segments that have been identified. I talked about Safe Routes to School plan. The city, community partners, and the Staples Motley Schools did a plan in 2013, and then another plan in 2017. Well, since then, a number of things have changed with the school district, particularly the closure of the Motley building. So the 2017 plan also had Safe Routes to Schools goals identified over in Motley. So what Melissa basically has done is kind of merged those plans, removed the reference to the Motley piece, and worked with MnDOT during that process so that we have a valid plan to submit to them. So basically what the process is, as Lauren indicated, letter of intent needs to be submitted. The due date on that is October 29th. If we're invited to submit a full app, that would be early January. And been working with Bolton and Mink as our city engineer. They've developed some fairly high level cost estimates for the trail and sidewalk segments that were shown on that plan. Ballpark estimate on the project as drawn up there, about $389,000. I will acknowledge there's a healthy contingency in there because that's what engineers like to do on high-level stuff, right?
Yes.
So, basically our request to the county is to act as our state aid sponsor. We've got a long history of the city and Todd County working together in that capacity. Overpass project, turn back of Old Highway 10 downtown. I think Depot probably was similar to that. So I think it's definitely a doable project, and would appreciate the support of Todd County as we move forward. If you have any specific questions about the Safe Routes to School planning process, Melissa, again, was very much involved in that 2017 plan, and I'm sure would be happy to answer questions. Don't want to overwhelm you with info unless you want it.
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
Along the community center, to the south of the community center, that block between the high school and Sacred Heart, that sidewalk in there, did you guys look at that sidewalk at all?
So are you referring to that is kind of deteriorated right
Yes,
along
yes.
Sacred Heart?
Yeah, when we did the study, yes, we definitely identified that as an area that needs an update to it, due to the availability of grant funds on the infrastructure, getting the kids safely between the schools that is the highest traveled areas.
Right.
Was identified as a priority, but that doesn't mean that that falls off the shelf of critical projects to look at in the future.
Okay.
I think to expand on that a little bit, we have been having conversations with Lauren about reconstruction of 4th Street. So there's certain segments of sidewalk that don't even exist as you get up south of the elementary school, you know, on that west side. That's not included on here, just because, you know, you need to guarantee at least a 10-year life. If we do a reconstruction project 4 or 5 years from now, that would end up getting torn out. So
All right.
I think those sidewalk segments and reconstruction of sidewalks that's there right now would happen as part of that project.
Okay.
If I can piggyback on that, eventually, 4th Street will need to be reconstructed due to the age and condition of the pavement and everything that's there, storm sewer and whatnot. And at that point in time, I believe the city's intent is to partner with us to do a project so they can replace their water and sewer or portions of it during that time. It's a typical partnership project. We work with all our cities. And at that point in time, we do the complete reconstruction of everything, including the sidewalk.
I have a question, Madam Chair, on the, I'm assuming it's all gonna be bituminous, or, because it shows blue,
Right, yep, there's one short segment, Denise, if you can kind of scroll down, you can see what looks like a
Okay.
dot.
I missed that.
There's a short segment where there is no sidewalk
okay.
that we would be connecting to.
Then my question is, you said a 10-year lifespan, is that tar bituminous a 10-year lifespan?
They're required to maintain it for 10 years.
okay.
The life expectancy of this is
Yeah.
20 plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we have other, you know, our legacy trail, which, you know,
Yep,
was
yep.
built as part of the overpass project, and then stuff further up in Wadena County by the airport that's been there for that long, and that's held up very
Okay.
well.
There's a lot of maintenance to bituminous, and I just kind of wonder, you know, it'll start cracking, and then you need to seal coat most likely, and I see you have 10 foot, is that the width of the, okay. I'm assuming that's a paver width?
That is, I think, the standard
Okay,
for a bike trail. They have minimum standards. I'm thinking that's what Bolton and Mink used.
okay.
And that's basically for two-way traffic. But also then they can get their maintenance equipment on there
Right.
and plow it or do whatever they need to do.
Any
Yeah.
other
Good idea.
questions,
Why more cities aren't doing it?
concerns? If not, I'll ask for a motion for the support of the Safe Routes to School Letter of Intent for the City of Staples.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And carries. And thank you.
You.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. We got 4 agenda items this morning. The first one is to rescind Board Action 2021-0921-14, County Ditch 19, Hold Harmless Agreement for Ditch Maintenance. The recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as Ditch Authority, rescind Resolution Board Action Tracking Number 2021-0921-14, Hold Harmless Agreement petition from Prairie Lakes Farm LLC, Amthor Cattle on parcel 2600222100, Ward Township, Section 24, that was approved at the September 21st, 2021 board meeting. The Hold Harmless Agreement application will be resubmitted with additional ditch line added on a neighboring parcel.
Okay, is there a motion to rescind for ditch 19.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
So the second board action, or second agenda item is then the new hold harmless agreement. County Ditch 19, hold harmless agreement for ditch maintenance. Recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority, approve a hold harmless agreement petition from Prairie Lakes Farm LLC, Amthor Cattle, to clean approximately 1,700 feet of County Ditch 19 on parcel 2600222100 and approximately 1,800 feet on Mark Partika's parcels 2600211802 and 2600120000, Ward Township, Section 24. Prairie Lakes Farm LLC will do this project at their own expense.
Okay, is there a motion for ditch 19 hold harmless agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion?
Yep, Madam Chair, Nancy, this ditch has a maintenance fund, so
Correct.
these guys are doing it at their own expense.
Yes.
Is there any effects up or down from this, where they're doing it? I mean, that ditch is pretty well maintained, I think, so.
Yep, yeah. They're, part of the reason that they were doing this is because their cattle were in there,
Okay,
and they had a watering system that broke down and they didn't get it. They're gonna replace that also,
okay.
but the cattle were in there at that time, and plus, for time constrictions and stuff, they wanna get it done sooner than it would take for a ditch maintenance petition.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
All right, next agenda item is acknowledge receipt of County Ditch 27 hold harmless agreement, ditch maintenance, and install of crossing. Recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acknowledge receipt of a hold harmless agreement petition from Dave Herron to clean part of County Ditch 27 on parcels 2800-15201 and 2800-15001, and to install a private crossing on parcel 2800-15201 in Ward Township, Section 24.
Okay, is there a motion for ditch 27 in Ward Township
So
for
moved.
maintenance?
So moved.
Motion by Knizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kircher. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, my final agenda item, County Ditch 34, hold harmless agreement, ditch maintenance, and replace a crossing. Recommendation, the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following by motion. Acting as ditch authority, approves a hold harmless agreement petition from Aaron Ecola to clean approximately 1,360 feet of County Ditch 34 and to replace a failing private crossing on parcel 1900-30000, Moran Township, Section 29. This project will be done on his own property at his own expense.
Okay, this is for ditch 34, maintenance and replacing of crossing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion?
And if you're interested in seeing the
Yeah.
pictures of the area. So that's the section that's going to be clean, and then where the crossing's gonna be replaced, and then the pictures, the crossing's in pretty bad shape. And then the ditch line is pretty much silted in.
Yeah, look how dry it is.
Yeah, it's very dry.
Yes. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, Nancy.
Good morning, all.
Good
Morning.
Steve.
All right, got one item for today. It's the Financial Crimes Task Force Joint Powers Agreement. Background is Sheriff's Office has decided to join the State of Minnesota Financial Crimes Task Force. There are a number of benefits from joining the task force, including updated Cellbrite equipment used for cell phone downloads. Approximate value is about $11,000 on one of those machines. Training for the operating and updated equipment is approximately $4,000 for get trained. With nearly every investigation that the sheriff's office conducts, the downloads of cell phones are almost always needed. This agreement will be effective immediately. See attached joint powers agreement and resolution. Just some further background. This is, I believe, under you, Dave. There was Gore did the joint powers with ICAC. That's Internet Crimes Against Children. We're thinking about possibly going to that also in the future. But this is just a great way to secure funds. They'll also pay for overtime if there's a major case in a financial crimes. We're already meeting some of this with Travis doing the FPI work. So options are to approve the Todd County Sheriff's Office joining the State of Minnesota Financial Crimes Task Force, effective immediately, or 2, do not approve. It's recommended that we approve the joining of the task force.
Okay. Is there a motion for the joining of the State of Minnesota Crime Task Force Joint Powers Agreement?
So moved.
Motion by Kircher. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Steve.
And we do still have the Cellbrite equipment from when, but we went to get it updated when the BCA was here, and they said that thing belongs in the museum.
Send it down there.
Yeah.
Good morning, Adam.
All right, the first item this morning is the adoption of the Sauk River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. The Sauk River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan was completed through the One Watershed, One Plan process. The plan has been through the public comment period, has been approved by Bowser, and the final step is for each participating local government unit to adopt this plan. So the option would be a motion to approve this resolution and adopt the Sauk River Plan, or a motion to deny this resolution, and the recommendation would be approve of the resolution and therefore adopting the Sauk River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan.
Okay. Is there a motion for adoption of the Sauk River Plan?
I'll move for discussion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Newman, second by Erickson. Discussion?
So does this mean that we will no longer have a Todd County water plan, or is this all gonna be like the Long Prairie's gonna have their own water plan? Everybody's gonna have their each?
Correct. Each individual watershed will have their own plan that will then replace Todd County's plan after 2025, which is what we extended ours to.
So then we won't have to put any money up for the $5,000 for the water plan anymore, or?
Yeah, so when these things get reviewed, that's the advantage of going through this One Watershed, One Plan, is the grant funds are provided to the planning region to implement those. And as long as it's been successful so far, you can never know what the future holds, but if we continue to go down this road, I guess it's unforeseen if we'll continue to get grant funds. I would suspect that we would, because it's working across political boundaries. So I think there's a distinct advantage to participating in these One Watershed, One Plans to develop them. And outside of the monetary reasons, working watershed basis just makes a lot of sense, because water crosses boundaries and different watersheds have different concerns. So when you're creating a water plan on a county boundary, you may be creating solutions to problems that don't exist, or vice versa.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, and with that, we move to the Sauk River Watershed Collaborative Agreement. Adoption of the Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan through the One Watershed, One Plan requires local governments to enter into an agreement for implementation of the plan. The Sauk River Policy Committee has decided to enter into a collaborative agreement for implementation that shall be adopted by each participating local government. The options are a motion to approve the attached collaborative agreement, or a motion to deny and therefore not approve or adopt it. The recommendation is to approve to enter into the attached Sauk River Watershed Collaborative Agreement.
Okay, is there a motion to enter into the agreement with the Sauk River Watershed Collaborative Agreement?
So move.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, I know there was some concern from other counties about putting in a clause so we can, if we want to get out of it, we could. So, just wanted to share that with the rest of the board members, so there was some concerns.
Yep, and what this does is it allows Commissioner Newman as the representative to come back to the full board. It just has more holistic involvement of each government entity rather than creating another joint powers or going kind of on the looser end of that too. So this is kind of in the middle and allows everybody to hear and get updated what's going on before decisions are made at that policy committee meeting.
Yeah, and I think a lot of their concern is, you know, Mama State knows what's best for their kids, the counties. So, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, final plat for Sunrise Estates, a subdivision request to establish a 5-lot preliminary plat on parcel 1400258001, 1400264000, and 14002600 was approved on May 18th with 11 conditions. Disconnection of the access to at 10998 US 71 upon completion of the development of Akeley Trail, complete approval from the county on the submitted wetland delineation report, identification of 2 suitable sites per lot, and completion of a septic compliance inspection on the existing systems. Proposed road must be tarred within the next 2 years, our next 2 construction season. An engineered stormwater management pond must be completed upon final platting. Creation of 1 or more outlots to encompass the engineered stormwater management system. Obtain the appropriate construction stormwater permits as required by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. Developer and future property owners must obtain permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the MPCA and Sauk Watershed District. Creation of covenants addressing who is responsible for maintenance of the stormwater practices. Creation of covenants of addressing who shall be responsible for maintenance of the roadway until a time that Kendota Township takes over ownership. And creation of an agreement between Kendota Township who will take ownership of the road once the road is built. Planning and zoning has completed the review of the preliminary plat and determined this is ready for final platting. So the option would be a motion to first approve an establishment of Sunrise Estates final plat or move to deny the establishment, and the recommendation would be a motion to approve the request for final plat named Sunrise Estates.
Okay, is there a motion for the final plat for Sunrise Estates?
So move.
Motion by Newman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair. So my question is the engineered stormwater management pond must be completed. Who's going to oversee that?
It's actually already built. It was engineered. It was built when they were building the roadway because they had the same contractor do the work. And then in those covenants we received, it addresses who's going to be responsible for that. And I believe it's the developer at this time because the lots are not sold. I have to go back and look. But it's addressed in there. And then same with the roadway, who's going to be responsible for that. And then there's a separate agreement with just the township that Lauren got when he went out and he did a review of the road and there's changes needed. He went back and did another review to approve those changes and make sure everything was up to snuff. And then he received that agreement with the township because he meets with them as a large group when he's out there approving the road.
Well, my point is that we require them to put in a holding pond, but then we don't follow up on who cleans it out or who maintains it. And I've seen this in the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. We've required this.
Yep.
And nobody's maintaining them, so.
I agree. We've run into that issue in some of the plats that need, like some around Lake Osakis, and we go back and there's no covenants, there's nothing in the conditions, there's nothing there, which is why in the last couple of years here, discovering this, that we've required those covenants. So when the time comes, I don't know what the lifespan is. It's probably about 10, 15 years when they're going to need maintenance. We can go and point our finger at something and say, this covenant says that you're responsible for it. So we have something down the line to go to. And whether, I'm here or somebody else is here or whatever, they'll have that available to make that decision and determine at that time.
All right.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, the Jason Enos request for CUP. A request for conditional use permit on parcel 1800347000 in Long Prairie Township was submitted on September 14th, 2021. The request was made for an operation of 10 semi-truck commercial transportation business. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the conditional use with the following conditions. 1, the operation shall be limited to 10 trucks. Space for additional trucks must be first approved by Todd County. And 2, the applicant must abide by all other applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or to remand back to the Planning Commission. And the recommendation would be to grant the conditional use permit with the proposed conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for the Jason Enos request for a CUP?
So moved.
Motion by Knizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, and Jason Enos request for CUP for bulk storage. A request for a conditional use permit on parcel 1800347000 in Long Prairie Township was submitted on August 11th. The request made was for establishment of bulk storage fuel tank, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the conditional use with the following condition: that the applicant must obtain additional permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. The option would be to grant the CUP with that proposed condition, deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. And the recommendation would be to grant the conditional use permit with the proposed condition.
Okay. Is there a motion for the Jason Enos request for CUP bulk storage?
So moved.
Motion by Knizel, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, is this thing gonna be bunkered in?
Bunkered in, as
It's
in
gonna be
like in a
concrete
house?
all around it.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Concrete on the, and caulky
It
walls.
has to be.
Okay.
That's the new
Yeah, they're required to have secondary storage. That's not a requirement of us, it's a requirement of the state. And then from the time they establish it, they have a period of time where they actually have to register it with the state. That was made clear to Jason that he needs to do that yet. But again, and then they have additional plans of actually housing that in a structure, so it's indoors also. That has not been done yet, but
Madam Chair,
Yep.
Rod, or even Adam, is this within the Shoreline District?
yes.
Okay, so you are,
Yep.
well.
And our ordinance just had, it's actually in our public nuisance section. It just says that the county board should grant CUPs for bulk storage. Except for ag-related stuff, there's exemptions for that. But we don't have any other like performance standards or anything to go with it. It just says so that we can address public health, safety, welfare, and know where they're located at. A lot of the design criteria, secondary or tertiary containments, those are state requirements, which is where we just put that blanket condition in that they have to go get those things.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay. Lakes Gas Company request for CUP bulk storage. A request for a conditional use permit on parcel 1800347000 in Long Prairie Township was submitted on July 2nd. The request made was for establishment of an 18,000-gallon bulk storage tank. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the conditional use with the following conditions. 1, that the applicant must obtain additional permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies, including but not limited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. The operation shall be for on-site retail, or shall not be for on-site retail purposes. Changes to this proposed use shall be reviewed by the Planning Commission. And 3, the operation shall be reviewed by the Planning Commission 1 year from the issuance of the permit. The option would be to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation would be to grant the conditional use with those proposed conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for the Lakes Gas Company request for CUP for bulk storage? Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion?
Madam Chair, on this bulk storage, are we gonna say what kind of petroleum they're storing, or are we just?
I guess
Propane.
we can get that. That doesn't specify that in our ordinance. This one here is propane refill station. So they'll,
I
yeah.
understand that, but I just think we should put the type of petroleum they are storing.
Okay, sure.
Because otherwise it comes down to, can they store other types of
Yeah.
storage, and
Can we amend these board actions just to specify that in there?
If you wanna amend that, in
Yeah.
case whoever was.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea, because down the
Sure.
road, we
Yeah.
could say, well, we've got permission to put 18,000, doesn't say which one,
Oh,
so.
sure. Yeah. So if that's what you, I can easily amend those and resend them to
I would prefer we
Jolene.
put the type of petroleum
Yep.
they're storing, so.
Okay, I can do that.
Well,
Should I do that?
he made the motion, so he'll amend the
Okay.
motion he made.
I'll amend that to my motion, that it indicate the type of petroleum they're storing.
Okay, and Gary did the second, and Gary's
And I don't
okay
know if
with
the
it?
previous one had that either.
That
but
was gonna be
the-
diesel in that
okay,
one.
yep.
Well, we'll take care of
We'll
this
just
one.
take this one.
Okay, any other further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Do you want to go back to the Jason Enos one and put that also as a condition of his?
I didn't make that motion, but.
That was Gary.
That was Gary.
Well, yeah, we can, it's for his truck, so it's obviously
It's gotta
diesel.
be diesel, but, yeah.
I'm asking you the question, do you want to or do you not?
I don't want to, but
Okay, then we will leave it as stands. Okay, the next one then?
Sure. The Bryant request for a conditional use permit, a request for conditional use permit to establish a home-based business for online sales of firearms on parcel 15-0089800 in Leslie Township was submitted on September 16th. Request was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the October 7th meeting. In the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the conditional use with the following condition, that the applicant must abide by all their applicable federal, state, and local standards. The option would be to grant the CUP with the proposed condition, deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission, and the recommendation would be to grant the conditional use with that proposed condition.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the Bryant request for CUP?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson, is there a second?
Newman.
Oh,
By
excuse
Newman.
me, Newman.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, the Froseth request for CUP, a request for conditional use permit to establish a community solar energy system on parcel 14-0026700 in Kendota Township was submitted on September 10th. The request was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the October 7th meeting, and the final recommendation was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. Submittal of the interconnection agreement with the electric service provider prior to issuance of land use permits, and two, the applicant must obtain additional permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies. And the option would be to grant the conditional use with the proposed conditions, deny the CUP, or remand back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation would be to grant the conditional use with those proposed conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for, it should be community solar energy system?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Knizel. Discussion?
Is this for the actual permit, or is this for the actual field? Or is there two separate
Yeah, so
ones
they'll
here?
have to get a land use permit also. Yeah, so this is just for the land use, and then this type of land use requires a conditional use because of its interconnection with the electric grid. Had it just been for on-site purposes, we would have just issued a land use permit directly, but now they're required to get both. And we actually already have both of the interconnection agreements. We got those between the Planning Commission meeting and now, so that's checked off, and as soon as we get this through, they'll be looking for land use permits to get stuff going.
How big of a field is this?
If I remember right, they're 180 feet long. One of them is 180 feet, and I think the other one is split into two sections. And they're 12 feet tall, I think. And they don't rotate or anything. They're just at a 45-degree angle.
So we're not talking acres? here?
No, nope. If, in that case, this would be a much more in-depth review. Then it would become the primary use of that property, and then there's a whole list of additional requirements that they have to submit with their application. No, these are just small, intended for on-site uses, but because they intend to connect it with the electric grid for that payback,
Yep.
that requires a conditional use.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, or is there any further discussion? I should ask first. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, another Forfeited request for CUP, conditional use permit to establish a community solar energy system on parcel 14002480 in Kentota Township was submitted on September 10th. This request was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the October 7th meeting, and the final recommendation was to grant the CUP with the following conditions. 1, submittal of the interconnection agreement with the electric service provider prior to issuance of land use permits, and 2, obtain additional permitting when necessary from other governmental agencies. The option would be to grant the conditional use with the proposed conditions, deny the conditional use, or remand back to the Planning Commission. The recommendation would be to grant the CUP with the proposed conditions.
Okay, this is for the CUP. And this is the one that goes with the electrical company, correct?
Yep, this is pretty much the exact same thing as a previous board action, but it's about a mile up the road.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair. When we were up at AMC for the fall conference, Stearns County has been really expressing their concerns about some of these solar farms. Now, this is just a small one, but they had 260 some, I think, applications last year for, and what they're doing is they're coming in and they're taking a 160 acre partial or a 40 acre partial and just plotting off 10 acres and then dumping solar panels into 10 acres to get away from corporate tax. So Stearns County's trying to figure out how to have the state legislators change some of the statutes on this stuff. So it's kind of interesting. So if you get a chance, pay attention to what's happening in Stearns County. And not to mention now in Osakis, if you're going out to the interstate from Osakis, that whole east side now is going to be solar panels all the way out to the interstate. So they're coming, and
Oh, yeah.
people are getting paid. If you're farming and you're only getting $150 an acre rent, and these electric companies or these solar panel companies come in and say, hey, I'm going to give you $3,000 an acre. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I haven't had any applications come to me, but we had one up in Gary's district that's actually in Bertha Township, I think. That's going to be a large one. It's like 40% in Todd County and 60% in Wadena. But that's going to be a big one. And they're a couple years away, I think, from doing that because of all the process and getting everything in place. But Commissioner Newman's right. There's going to be more of them.
They did add on to the power station by Burndale.
Sure.
Where that
Yep.
power's going to, substation.
Interesting.
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not,
Madam Chair,
go
if I may,
ahead.
Randy, down the road, is Stearns County having any trouble collecting taxes on the
That's what they're,
property taxes? Is
that's
that
what their concerns
Because
about.
that's the same thing we're having with our power lines and stuff, is trying to collect the taxes from the.
Yep.
They always appeal it because we say we're too high, so. That's a big issue for a lot of counties, so.
Yep.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries.
Okay, the Kleinschmidt request for rezone. A request for rezoning of parcel 21-000-1200, 21-000-1900, and 21-000-1201 in Round Prairie Township. Request from AF1 to AF2 was submitted on September 7th. This request was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the October 7th meeting, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the rezone with no conditions. The option would be grant the rezone with no conditions, deny the request, or remand back to the Planning Commission, and the recommendation would be to grant the request for rezone from AF1 to AF2 with no conditions.
Okay, is there a motion for the Kleinschmidt request for rezone?
So moved.
Motion by Newman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion?
Madam Chair, what was the reason for the,
So it's actually two different 40s in the one application. Their son wants to place a house on the 140, and then I think in the very near future, he has a daughter that he wants to build a house on the other 40. So it's just to add a house on either 40.
Okay.
And rezoning, it touches two different zone twos touch.
Yeah, it connects. It's not a true spot zone. It actually has like a corner connection. But in my opinion, the AF2 makes sense because it's along a county highway. It's tarred. It's a traffic area. It just makes a lot of sense. You see similar situations on other areas of the county where it's already AF2.
Okay.
thanks.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried.
Okay. Amendment to section 9.04B of the Todd County Planning and Zoning Ordinance. Proposed amendment to section 9.04B of the Planning and Zoning Ordinance was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the August, September, and October 2021 Planning Commission meetings. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to amend the ordinance to read as follows: that semi-trailers, railroad cars, and cargo containers may be used as storage structures in AF1, AF2, and commercial zones, but shall be limited to 2 per parcel and shall require a land use permit. The option would be to adopt the changes to section 9.04B as presented, or do not adopt the changes. The recommendation would be to adopt the changes to section 9.04B as presented. There's really no change to how we'll implement the ordinance. It was broken into 2 different sentences before, and one referenced semi-trailers and railroad cars, and the next section referenced semi-trailers and cargo containers. So just to include everything into a single statement is really the only intention here. Otherwise, nothing changes about how it'll be implemented.
Okay, is there a motion for the amendment to section 9.04B to the Todd County Planning and Zoning Ordinance?
So moved.
Motion by Erickson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Kneisel. Discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
I'm tired for you guys. That was process. Good morning.
Good
Madam
morning.
Chair,
Morning.
Commissioners. We have one board action form to present. It is the MFIP Biennial Service Agreement for 2022 and 2023. Some background. Counties are required to have a biennial service agreement approved by the Minnesota Department of Human Services to receive consolidated funds for the Minnesota Family Investment Program, which is also known as MFIP. The purpose of the biennial service agreement is to provide DHS with information about services and strategies intended to meet the program measures with the goal of increasing the economic stability of low-income families using MFIP. Options are to approve the 2022-2023 MFIP Biennial Service Agreement for Program Administration by Todd County, or to not approve. It's our recommendation to approve by motion the 2022-2023 MFIP Biennial Service Agreement for Program Administration by Todd County.
Okay, is there a motion for the, how do you pronounce that, MINFIP?
MFIP.
MFIP.
Service Agreement for 22-23.
So moved.
Motion by Kircher, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Erickson. Discussion. Is this agreement that is that an ongoing agreement type deal?
It is.
We've had it for,
Yeah.
for 2 years already? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carries. And thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a board action this morning for Region 5 office space lease in the Staples Building. The background for this is Region 5 is requesting an extension to their current lease agreement with modifications to decrease office space requested and changes to the annual lease amount. The options are to approve the Region 5 lease agreement effective from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st of 2026, or not approve, and the recommendation is to approve the Region 5 lease agreement effective from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st of 2026.
Okay, is there a motion for the Region 5 office space lease for the Staples building? And basically, they're downsizing the space they want to lease.
So moved.
Motion by Kneisel, is there a second? Second by Kircher. Discussion.
Yes, Madam Chair, I got a question. What's it costing us to keep that facility open? The heat, electricity, insurance, all that?
I believe the total budget for that building is 36,000, I believe is what it is. That would include all maintenance.
36,000?
Yep.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, their lease, and I think Denise, it's in the packet, you could scroll down, they're requesting to reduce their space by half. With the options for teleworking now that are available, and they also have I think a satellite office in the Brainerd area at this time, so they're just asking to reduce that space by half. I am exploring other options for renters in that area. I have reached out to Corrections and to Health and Human Services to see if they have any additional space needs. So at this time, we would be looking for additional renters that would have the same services, the same resources provided that would match with the county and Region 5.
Chris, on this map, which offices are they going to stay with?
The pink shaded area is the office space that they will be utilizing.
And they will continue to use that big meeting room then?
Yes, that's their intent. And then the office spaces that are just adjacent to that are not outlined, those would be the spaces that are available.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, how far is Wadena from Staples? 7 miles? A bit more than that.
Well, it's
I wanna
more
say
like
maybe 10.
18.
10, 15?
Anywhere between 7 and 15, I guess.
There you go. We all had a guess.
It's all tar too.
Okay, well, because I did have somebody ask me, why are we having corrections in Staples when they could be in, and they have an office in Wadena? And that was the question that was asked to me, and I said, I can't answer that, I don't know.
Well, they used to have court in Staples, too, and they did away with that pilot, chambers too, or satellite chambers, I should say, and, that was the reason Corrections was up there. Corrections has always been in Staples. They had another building over on the southeast corner, and then, we did this, and then they moved in here. Do they pay rent?
They do.
Okay.
Yes, and if I could just maybe expand a little bit on their services, correction services specifically. We have the Long Prairie Corrections Office, we have the Wadena Corrections Office. That Staples office is where they hold all of their group meetings, and it works very well for those large group settings.
And we've also talked with Corrections that they'd be interested in leasing more, and Wadena is definitely not in favor of having any additional space in Staples. Jackie, how much room do you guys use up in that building?
It would be the yellow outline space, maybe, trying to,
And the blue would be Corrections? Or,
Well, that's
it's really a
separate.
shared space, yeah.
yeah,
Blue is public health.
In corrections, if they had an option to expand into that area, they would take it. They just, at this time, do not want to see an impact to the budget.
Well, the budget is a big
Yeah.
issue, so.
That's correct.
any further discussion on this?
Oh, Madam Chair, if I could just add, I apologize. One of the changes that is made to this lease agreement, and it could be something that we incorporate into the other leases that we have, is that there is a 2% built into an increase in the rent, and that was agreed upon by Region 5.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries.
Thank you.
Okay. And then the insurance?
Good morning, Madam Chair,
Morning.
Commissioners. Today we bring forward the topic is MOAs for health insurance change. And Todd County has proposed a change to health insurance plans for Plan 2 and Plan 3 to Smart Plan options, as described in the attached MOAs. The MOAs have been signed by 4 of the union business agents and representatives, and 2 are pending decisions. If all unions agree to the MOAs, we want the change to be made. Your options are to change health insurance Plan 2 and 3 to Smart Plan options by signing the MOAs pending all unions agree to the change. And number 2, do not change the insurance plans, with the recommendation being number 1, change health plan insurance options Plan 2 and Plan 3 to Smart Plan options by signing the MOAs pending all unions agree to the change.
And in doing this, we have union negotiations on the 26th of October, which would be before another board meeting. So we're approving this, anticipating that we're going to get them all back signed. If we do not get them all back signed, then this is on hold until they're all signed.
Yes.
And Madam Chair, at this time, we actually have 5 out of the 6.
You have 5 out of the 6. Okay.
So,
So, Madam Chair, why can't we just move forward with adopting it, and then the number 6 will have to go with it? Why are we negotiating
the,
this? Can't
this,
we make this mandatory?
Madam Chair, we can't, we can't. Commissioner Kircher, it's by statute that we need to get an agreement. It's by statute.
Yeah. So if one does not, then it's out.
That's correct. We're anticipating that it will be signed, but we're just going through this process. We also have open enrollment coming up, so in order to move forward with open enrollment, we need to get this done as well.
Will we let the unions run the county again? Is that what we're doing?
We're following
We're
statute.
following statute.
Not by choice.
I'm not happy about that, so we should be able to make our managerial decisions, and in order to save the taxpayers money, which this is going to do, is save some money.
Absolutely.
So, seems like our hands are always tied when we want to do something to save money, so
Following statute.
somebody makes a law, so.
So I will ask for a motion for the MOAs for the health insurance change, noting that it has to be signed by all 6. Okay.
So move pending.
Okay, motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. Discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor? Opposed? And carries.
Are we
Thank you.
expecting that back fairly soon? I mean,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yep, thank you. And now we will go into a closed session. The time is 10:03. The commissioners will hold a closed session pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D.03 to consider strategies for labor negotiations. Yeah.
Alrighty.
we okay then, Denise?
Yes.
We'll go ahead and reopen the board meeting. The time is 10:31. And I will ask for standing reports. Auditor Treasurer.
Just wanted to give some updates on the comments this morning, just so we know, going back to that fee schedule. I had Jolene pulling statute, and she said that she's not finding statute that referenced to it, but we did have past practice where we had to do HHSs because they had to get their fee schedule letters out. That was one time when you made a change. But when it comes to actually a fee that would be put on a constituent, then a public hearing would need to be filed because you would be imposing a cost onto them. So, you can make changes. You have the authority to make those changes throughout the year, even though you have the fee schedule set. You just have to know that you would have to, bring a board action with allowing public hearings for those changes. I just wanted to clarify that. Then also I have November 2nd, we have some school elections I wanted to inform the board and the public about. School District 2753, Long Prairie Grey Eagle, is having a referendum for revenue renewal, and they're upping their per pupil to $249.24 per pupil. That's just a renewal of what they currently have. School District 487, which is Upsala, they are having a election for a building bond of $7.6 million. Sauk Center 743 is having a capital projects bond at $1.5 million, a building bond at $26.45 million, and School District 213 Osakis is having an election for a school board vacancy. Absentee voting is open. People need to know they have to go through their school districts. They do not come to the county. These are standalone elections that the schools hold themselves. So if they want to absentee vote, they need to contact the school district. And just, I've had a lot of calls on like property owners wondering what this is going to affect. If you go out to their school websites, they're very good about having like an Eilers company, financial company, set up a tax calculator. So you can put in your parcel number and figure out your taxes. But you'd have to go to those school websites to find those links. And then they also will have a lot of information as to what their bonds are for and what you're actually voting on. So I just wanted to give an update on that. Thank you.
District come in.
Out of the south.
Commissioners' reports? Any commissioners' reports? None at this time. I'll go to the coordinator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only thing that I have to inform is Todd County Development Corporation is going to be having a meeting on November 1st at 7 p.m. and they have invited Representatives Poston and Kresha to this meeting. It's a meeting that will be held for townships and cities to discuss broadband. So I will have this posted as a meeting that all commissioners may attend if you so choose to do that.
Okay. With that, will ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting until November 2nd.
So moved.
Motion by Erickson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Newman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and adjourned. You guys need a break before we go into work session?
Thank you. You're just too quick, Barb.
Oh.
So we've provided you a couple changes to personnel policy. The Personnel Board of Appeals falls in section 4.04, the grievance procedure. And we've added, the Policies Committee has added section E, which is the Personnel Board of Appeals. We are adding this so that we can move away from merit. And one of the requirements is that we have this Personnel Board of Appeals.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to stop you.
Okay.
We have the October 5th work session up.
Oh.
That's my issue, so.
Why I didn't see it.
Now,
just go there, go back,
Back here?
yep, there.
Okay,
Use your back button.
thank you, dear. Somebody? Oh, there we
And
go.
then we'll just choose the work session.
Sorry about that, it was already open for me, so I didn't see that till now. Sorry, Sarah.
No problem.
Yeah.
There we go. Thanks.
The other thing that we would be bringing forward is a resolution to the board to officially establish a county personnel department per Minnesota statute 375.56. This is also part of getting out of merit. You do have a personnel department with your coordinator being the personnel director.
Where you're at, but
I'm getting dizzy here.
I
so
know,
trying
I'm
to-
trying to find where she's at.
So we're
sorry.
going, so E is the Personnel Board of Appeals, so down just a little bit.
I wasn't following
There we
along
go.
with you, thank you.
So this is establishing a three-person appointed committee board, preferably people who have experience in legal matters or HR, and they are citizens of the county. They are not employees or elected officials of the county. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair, in order for us to exit merit, this is one of the requirements. We have to follow the Minnesota State Statute Personnel Act, and that act states that we need a Personnel Board of Appeals established. So between now and our exiting of merit, which our goal is the end of the year, we need to bring forward a resolution adopting the Personnel Act, which would include the Personnel Board of Appeals as part of that. Currently, with our Health and Human Services, who are part of the merit system, they have the option within their collective bargaining agreement to follow a grievance process for applicants, employees. They can either appeal or they can file a grievance through the regular collective bargaining agreement process through their union, or they can file a grievance through the merit system. If merit system is gone, we need this Personnel Board of Appeals in place
Okay.
to fill that process.
And this would be countywide then?
It would become part of the personnel
Not just one
policy.
department, it would be countywide.
That is correct. And today, the process that is outlined by merit is you either go through that grievance process through the merit process, or you go through with your, following your collective bargaining agreement. You can't do both, you do one or the other.
Do
That
we
is the
know if we
current-
can find people to be on this committee, or is there, I mean, has there been, do we know of people that we can try to get to be on this committee, or?
I would ask you as commissioners to think about people within your districts that maybe could be like maybe retired from school, maybe they worked in HR in schools or in other private sector positions. We would go through a process of putting, we could put an ad in the paper like we have done for other
Yeah.
committees that have vacancies or other boards that have vacancies, outlining some of the criteria that we would want to put into place, having HR experience, having legal experience, things of that nature.
How many other counties within the state have a board like this?
Anybody who is not part of the merit system has this in place. And maybe Jackie would have a better idea of how many are still remaining in merit, or how many have.
I think as of first of the year, I don't know why nine's sticking in my head, but I didn't prepare for that. But, I believe there's only like 9 counties left.
Madam Chair,
And some are,
Madam Chair, this is all new, I think, to all of us here, so I don't know, have we went through the pros and cons of leaving merit and going to this? I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, but I guess I'd like to see on paper the pros and cons to me. Now, I haven't read all this. It's all French to me here, so seems like it complicates it more than it makes it simpler, so,
If I could add, in discussions with other counties who have made this change, the Personnel Board of Appeals, even though it has to be in place, is not something that's used very often, if at all, in most counties.
I think the other thing that should be brought up too is the cost of merit.
Yes, there is a cost attached to being a part of merit, and I believe when we talked about this through policy, I thought Jenna had mentioned $24,000, I think annually is what the cost is to participate in it.
It's going up because a number of counties have exited the market as well. We did bring this for discussion, I believe it was at the end of the year, out. But, yeah, the cost is gonna, so many counties are exiting the market with merit. So the ones that remain will need to, back up the exiting.
well, to me, it appears that the state or whoever has control here to say, we want you in merit, but then if you don't want us, we're gonna set up a bunch of rules for you to follow. So, and to me, the only department that I know of in our county that's in merit is Health and Human Services. Am I correct?
You are correct.
And how many of your employees must be merit certified?
All but just a handful are merit certified. I think the managers are probably, everybody within Health and Human Services is fairly merit certified, except confidential.
The administrative assistants.
Yeah.
And what was the benefit of merit again?
Merit was utilized, Chris, feel free to jump in, but for those smaller counties or counties that did help on the human resources end, but now we're seeing counties have adequate or enough human services staff to be able to support the requirements of DHS when employing individuals, as we're a state system county administered human services. So it is really because we didn't have the system set up on the human services side that merit was able to assist.
So merit ensures that there is an appropriate process in place when you go through the recruiting stages, making sure that applicants are treated fairly across the board, making sure that there are controls in place that state you have the skill set for the job. It also gives the opportunity for employees, once they are part of a county, to have a process to grieve if they feel they haven't been treated correctly, like maybe in the opportunities of promotions or things of that nature.
What I find is real interesting, though, is we've only had merit in your department, Jackie. And yet if we drop merit, we have to have this cover all departments. Why is the difference?
Part of this is tied to where does your funding come from? Okay, so if there is federal funding attached, which in many areas of Health and Human Services there are. So I think that's part of the reason why this is in place specifically for Health and Human Services.
Other questions? I mean, we've got another board meeting on November 2nd. You want to do have them come back in for another work session before we bring it to a board meeting? Or where do you want to go with this?
Madam Chair, I'd like to get more information from other counties on this. If you have a list of counties that eliminated it and went with this panel, what's the criteria of the board members?
Madam Chair, absolutely, we can bring that information, and we have some really good information that we can bring forward about what that would look like, the specific criteria for your appointed members.
Okay.
I would suggest that we bring it again on the 2nd as a work session for information.
Yep.
And then we still have a meeting before it would have to come in front of the board for a decision.
And Sarah has another discussion with Merit scheduled for later this week, so she will be asking additional questions based on your questions that you had here today, and any other questions that you might have prior to Thursday, or even after that, we can reach out.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, get hold of Sarah
Um,
before Thursday.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
question I have, has merit been a hindrance to hiring?
Complication to hiring. We're doubling what they score it, we score it. Every once in a while, an applicant gets confused and doesn't apply in both places, so they're not considered if they don't apply in merit.
Well, that's things we need to know, so.
Today, an applicant has to actually fill out 2 applications, one with the merit system, one with the county. So they're doing 2 applications for the same job, and if they forget to do one, I mean, they could automatically be,
And I don't know
Struck.
what kind of questions merit ask on their, I have no clue. No? But can we see what they,
I don't know, in their application.
You know, it's a NeoGov application, am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so
are,
it's
yep.
the same application, they just don't
okay.
they're not interoperable. So when you apply here, it doesn't feed it automatically to merit. So they've got to apply here and apply at merit separately with the same
I
application.
just want to make sure we're making the right decision here, so.
Okay, we'll bring this back to work session on the 2nd of November. Any questions, make sure we get them to Sarah before Thursday.
Thank you.
Okay.
The second item I have for work session is a change to personnel policy 3.03. It's basically a typo. Veterans preferences. Statute states about 3 lines down, it's 10 points, not 5 points for veterans. And then it's 15 points, not 10 points for disabled veterans when we're scoring their vet preference in the application process. We have always done it this way. I won't say always because I don't know what we did before, but at least 4 years and I didn't change anything. So it's just a typo and we want to get it corrected in the personnel policy. The statute used to be 5 points and 10 points, so.
Okay, and we'll just bring that back to board meeting on the 2nd then.
Thank you.
Okay.
I left that clicker up there for you to operate your pages.
Okay.
So let me get it going here.
All right, well, good morning. We're just coming forward for our annual health services unit update. I just want to start off by thanking all the staff in our unit for the good work that they've done throughout the last year. I think we were last year in 2019 with COVID going on last year. I think that kind of threw us off schedule a little bit. So I just want to start off by mentioning, you know, how much I appreciate the work that our staff has done in the last year through all of the COVID protocols and the changes and working from home and coming back and a lot of adjustments to our programs and everything in between. So I just want to thank them for their dedication and sticking with us through all that. And also on the same note, I just want to thank the group that I have up here with me, the supervisors in our unit. They do a great job of learning our program, sticking up with the changes, and staying on top of all those things. I have been accused of talking way too much when I get to these, so I'm going to turn it over to them to give their own updates when we get in here. So with that, I will start off with Sherry Greenwald in our home care update.
So I'm Sherry, and I have not met all of you guys, but I've been in my home care supervisor role for 5 months. And I'm super excited to share that we are currently fully staffed within home care. We hired our last RN back in September, so we currently have 3 full-time RNs, and Jenny is fitting in great with our group. She's actually seeing clients on her own now, and our clients have loved her, so she's a great addition to our group. We have 6 home health aides who are great and who do a lot of good care for our clients. We have 1 homemaker and 1 support staff. So I've pulled some numbers for you guys. So I'm comparing 2022 and our first 6 months of 2021. So in 2020, we had a total of 102 clients that we saw. And within that, there were 2,242 nursing visits. We had 3,458 home health aide visits, 1,376 homemaking visits, and 275 therapy visits. And that's a combination of PT, OT, speech therapy. Some clients needed just PT, some needed all 3, some just OT, some just speech therapy, so that's a combination of everything. And so to compare, in the first 6 months, we've had 76 clients. And so that's, you know, I feel that we've done really good with that compared to, you know, the year prior with our staffing situation that we have had. So far, we've had 1,104 nursing visits, which is comparable to last year. We are increased in our home health, homemaking, and therapy visits with all of the numbers there, the 1,840 home health visits, the 679 homemaking, and 109 therapy visits. And what we're gonna do now and focus now that we're back to fully staffed is we're gonna reach out to the healthcare facilities and let them know that we're ready to take on more clients. And as of right now, I know that there are 3 clients that we are gonna be probably taking on within the next couple weeks already. So those numbers should be increasing for us within home care. And just my final slide, so some CMS mandates that we have coming up, and they are the notice of admissions, which is going to be starting January of 2022. And currently right now we have the RAP, which is the request for anticipated payment, and that is, we have to submit those every 30 days to Medicare. And now they're going to change to this notice of admissions, which they have to submit 1 time while we have the person enrolled with us. And so that'll take a lot less time on our billing staff. But the thing that we have to remember is we still have to continue that 5-day reporting timeline. So once we start them on with their services, we have to have all of our paperwork to Medicare and that they have approved it within the 5 days. So that hasn't changed, but it's just gonna take a lot less time for our other staff with not having to do it every 30 days. And then we have the electronic visit verification, which has to be in place by January of 2023. And some facilities already have this, so like those that are doing PCA work, some of them already are doing this. And what this is when a person goes out to a client's home, they have to either, and I don't know yet what it's gonna all entail, if we're gonna use our phones, computers, the client's phones, or what, this is brand new. But they have to log in when they get to the site, and so go on the phone and say that I'm here right now, starting right now. They do their visit, and then they have to sign out when they're done with their visit. So this verifies their time that they're on site, and so that there's no fraud or saying that I was there for an hour when they were only there for 30 minutes. So that's my home care update.
All right. Next, we have Richard Mettler for the Behavioral Health Services.
Hello, Commissioners. First, I'm going to talk about the comprehensive reentry position, also known as the jail social worker position. Jen Frodeman started September of 2019. In 2020, she worked with 35 comprehensive reentry cases, had 28 substance use assessments, and 15 adult mental health cases. She's kind of in one of those hybrid positions where she does multiple things. One of those adult mental health cases also was a civil commitment, and she was involved in 3 different adult protection assessments or investigations. She also picked up the responsibility of comprehensive restoration, and she had 3 cases where she was providing curriculum, meeting with folks that were found to be incompetent to stand trial, to work them towards restoration, and then they can be reassessed and hopefully then be found to proceed with their criminal charges at that point. And you'll probably have more of those in 2021 as well, because we've had a lot of Rule 20s lately from court. And she also works closely with the pre-trial supervision with corrections. in the substance use disorder services, in 2020, oh,
You're double sliding.
okay, well.
Back over.
I'll go with that one. And for children's mental health, we have 3 full-time 2021 case managers. Jody Bass started in December. Autumn started in September. Autumn's already at 12 cases, so she's almost full-time already. Full-time is 15 cases is what's considered full-time for children's mental health. In 2021, we just had Tasha, and in 2020, we just had Tasha, and she had 21 children's mental health cases and 1 adult mental health case during that time. Okay, adult protection. We had 157 MARC reports, Minnesota Adult Abuse Reporting Center reports. These come from the state. We had 157 of them. To give you an idea, in 2019, I think we had 170. 43 of those adult reports turned into assessments or investigations. In 2020, we had 3 staff sharing adult protection duties. We're in the process of filling an adult mental health, adult protection hybrid position. Substance use disorder services. In 2020, we have 1 full-time LADC and 2 hybrid Rule 20 qualified assessors. We did 175 substance use cases. Direct access changes how people can attain treatments and assessments. Currently, with direct access, a person can just go to one of the, can't think of the name of it right now, but a treatment facility that has licensed drug and alcohol counselors and get an assessment done there and start receiving treatment right away. They would contact us if they needed to for approval, and we would set that up. They don't need to go directly through us for that. And that's related to the next point. In July 2022, higher assessor requirements and Rule 25's assessments will be discontinued. Basically, everything will be, all the assessments will be considered comprehensive assessments in order to get in order to access treatment. And we are working through the process of billing substance use treatment coordination. Currently, I guess we're currently working through that.
Can I interrupt you? Rule 25 is no longer?
In July of 22, the Rule 25s will go away and they'll be just replaced with the comprehensive assessment.
And it will require a licensed drug and alcohol counselor in order to do that point. So.
We are lucky we have an LADC on staff. This change is gonna strain other counties that do not have a licensed LADC. We're very fortunate to have the one that we do have. So thank you for that.
So if I may, on the 175 cases that you had substance abuse, so how many of them were Rule 25s?
Almost all of them were Rule 25 assessments this year.
And where are the referrals coming from, court or other sources?
Probably at least 80% of them come from jail and court, yeah.
Can I ask a question? So is this drugs or alcohol or a combination of both?
Combination.
Okay.
Yeah.
More drugs than alcohol?
I don't know. I didn't break it. I wouldn't know for sure.
Okay.
But there are a lot of both.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think we're still seeing a high degree of methamphetamine in our county as well. I should have looked at the Danes before we came up here because we have that all split out as well. But I think the interesting thing to note is that with the change, we're in position to switch our Rule 25s to the comprehensive assessment with our LADC. And then, because the Rule 25 standard was, I think it was like 30 hours of classroom instruction before a social worker was approved to do Rule 25 assessment, so that standard was much lower. But now there's that similar standard for those that'll be allowed to do the treatment coordination. So we'll move into that, and that's really kind of that case management piece of people through that treatment process is very often, a person doesn't just go to one treatment provider and they're just successful after that. Usually it's kind of a process of finding the right place at the right time and, you know, kind of walking that path with people. So hopefully we're able to offer a little more support for people through that process.
A slide on about the Todd County LADC, just to remember, just a reminder, I guess, we meet every other month. Includes providers, community members, some social workers from the county attend as well. The local advisory council, you know, is an opportunity to network, but also to share what needs people see in the community. And we are always, not always, but we're looking for additional members for that committee as well, or that for advisory council. Adult mental health, in 2020, there were 2 full-time adult mental health case managers and 2 hybrid case managers. Jen Frodeman from the jail would be one of the hybrid ones. We did 93 adult mental health cases, 7 civil commitments. We still do case management for 5 Minnesota sex offender cases and 2 mentally ill and dangerous cases. We currently in the process of filling that 1 hybrid adult mental health, adult protection position, and we still do have 1 open adult mental health position.
All right, next up we have Lisa Grossinger in the Child Services Unit.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just put some numbers together for you, again, to describe our unit and what we have. We have 1 team lead social worker. That is a new position, but it's been working very well in terms of support and checks and balances within our unit. We have 2 assessment investigator positions. 1 is currently open that we're in the process of hiring. 1 is filled. We have 5 case manager positions, which are the ongoing workers that work with families anywhere from 3 to 12 to 15 months. 1 of those positions is currently open, but we're not looking to fill that one until our caseloads would require that. We have 1 relative search position that's currently open and posted that we're looking to hire with a recent retirement. And we have 2 social workers that do our permanency, which is adoptions, transfer custodies. They also do our foster care licensing. And then we have 1 child care assistance worker within our unit that assists families with funding for child care. Some stats from 2020 that the number of adults within our unit that we served was 206, and then the number of children served in terms of child protection, child welfare, PSOPs was 119. And then I also did look at the numbers. We did serve 65 children with the child care assistance program as well. So, and then just on average, a number that's not up there, for 2020, I would say we had about 45 kids that were in out-of-home placement. So either placed in a licensed foster home or placed with relatives. And the biggest change for child services that has been, that came about in September, it's called a Families First Prevention Services Act. What that basically, there's still a lot to learn about it, but it's basically to ensure that the least restrictive services are provided to families and some prevention is done before a child would look at going into a residential setting. It's just, again, really to ensure that you've tried things within the home that children can stay with their families before, again, they would move on to a residential setting, so.
That act has actually kind of added some restrictions and some steps to the process of residential placements that would be covered under 4E. So we're working through that process. It was effective at the beginning of this month, but the state is still sort of building that process and the network of providers that are needed who meet the standard of the assessment that needs to be done at the beginning of a placement, and then through the process of certifying the placements that qualify for the funding under this act. So it's, you know, it's an ongoing thing, and the state will be releasing the process for us in January for the children that don't fall under that process or don't qualify for placements under that process. So even though it was effective beginning of this month.
Can I ask on the relative search position, which I think is a great thing?
Yep.
We have a vacancy now, but when we go down to the Families First Prevention Services Act, how do them correlate to each other?
Well, I would say like for, like with the Families First, because it's more of like a preventative model, the relative search could assist in searching out, like healthy family members and bringing them in as supports for the family that's struggling. At the current time, I really see it being utilized that way. We do a lot when we try bring families together to prevent even the court getting involved or having to remove a child. We do it's called family group decision making, where the whole family will sit down together with the outside entity that's trained. They come up with a plan, how they're gonna support things to again prevent the courts getting involved or the out-of-home placement, and it's their plan that hopefully they can sustain on their own even when the county isn't involved, so.
And maybe you guys told us at one time, but with the relative search position, I mean, we were told that it would possibly save us money on placements. How many have you done and how much has it saved us?
I didn't bring that number with today, but it's been substantial. We have lowered our out-of-home placement costs, and I know we far exceed the state standard in terms of the percentages of relative placements that we do. I think it's been a really good thing to have a person that's really dedicated to finding all those options where they're not a parent in a case sometimes. Sometimes those family members that may be good options haven't been connected with that family that's been struggling, so they're maybe not even aware of them sometimes. But I'm sorry, Commissioner Kircher, I didn't bring that along.
Well, maybe you could email it out to us, board
Yeah.
members, because we hire positions and we're told it's gonna save us money, but later on, we're never told how much money it actually saved us, so it's kinda interesting to me because it's important that these kids go to people that they're really comfortable with and good, safe environments, and I think this is a good position, but, I think a lot of counties maybe don't have it and should have it, but, if it saves us money, it saves the taxpayers money, so.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Kircher, you're right. As you're hearing, I think when we do our annual audit review or reports from Doug Host, we're seeing that our out-of-home placements are lower. And we all know that prevention is hard to measure. But yeah, we have seen some significant savings in our out-of-home placements, not only by that relative search, but by the work of the social workers in really trying to place these kids within their communities and families or relatives, and away from that corporate care that possibly.
But in this case, I see this person taking workloads from other people that could be doing the other things they're supposed to be doing, and in this position, doing what they should be doing and finding relatives. The other person maybe has a number of cases they should be investigating or looking into, and I think it's a good trade-off, so.
Madam Chair, too, I think, Mike, in there, show the cost difference, too, because I think we've seen that once in personnel or something where you brought a chart forward on what costs going into a facility versus relative costs. It's enormous. Yeah, per month type savings.
Yeah, I just didn't bring those along today. I apologize for that, but.
Yep.
Okay. And then last but certainly not least.
That's right. Sorry, there's a lot of information on this slide, and if you have it like this, you almost need a magnifying glass. But I did want you guys to see, what did he say? Anyway, I'm not going to go through line by line, so don't worry about that. So I just wanted to point out, though, all the different programs that do fall under the waiver and managed care world. I have 14 amazing staff that are working in that unit. One of the social workers is our intake social worker, though, that does help across all of our units, so that is really helpful. Under new assessments, we've already had 110 intakes for the year, so that's an amazing amount. Versus 2020, we only had 114 total, so they are increasing. COL reassessments are county of location reassessments, so when there's someone from another county living in our county, like in adult foster care, then we have to do the reassessment and send the paperwork all back to that county. So yeah, we've had a little lower. We're estimated to have lower this year. And then all of our different programs and the people we serve through that, I did add it up. I didn't put it on the slide, but it is roughly 784 people that we serve. A couple of them are duplicates because you can be on CADI and receive SMBC through UCare or Medica, but it's only a handful. So feel free to check that one out further.
I want to commend Kim to also, along with that, there's a lot of audits that follow that.
Oh, absolutely.
It's very time intensive to prepare those charts for audits, but then to sit through each health plan or each audit is.
Thank you, Jackie. But I do love doing chart audits, so it works out. So our current Min Choices application, Min Choices is our long-term care comprehensive assessment that assesses a person's needs to put them on waiver or PCA. So currently, as DHS calls them, we are under 3 roofs where, as you can see, we have the Min Choices assessment for some people, and that is one system we log into, which does filter into our support plan system to create the care plan for the person and their services, but we have to log into that system as well. But then if you are on managed care, you are still under our legacy long-term care assessment. And if you're not on waiver, then you have to have a health risk assessment and a collaborative care plan. So we are in this transitional period where we have a lot going on with different, which category a person falls into. So luckily, we have a revised Min Choices application, which is set to launch November 15th, which will actually pull in managed care. They have been wanting to do that since the dawn of Min Choices back, I think, in 2014. So that's exciting. We will be under one roof now, so to speak, where we will all the Min Choices assessments and HRAs will be completed there, along with our support plans and our long-term care service evaluations. They're also adding in some of our documents that we have to send out, like our notice of action. So, like I said, that will launch November 15th, so we have been training for that. We're pretty excited to have it all together so we don't have to put somebody in a category. So, yeah, I think it will save us time because the current Min Choices application, it takes 2 to 3 hours to complete an assessment, which is very time consuming, not only for the assessor, but also the person that has to have the assessment. So they have condensed, I guess you would say, the assessment. So we're pretty hopeful that it'll take less time and give us more time to get people the services they need. Along with that, we have Waiver Reimagine that back in 2019 when we came to the board, they were starting to work, well, I should step back, that they, again, want to simplify the whole waiver system because it is cumbersome for people, so they do want to make it more person-centered, easier to understand, and simpler to navigate. So what back in 2019 they were just starting to work on was having a common service menu, because prior to that, if you were under the DD waiver, you had a set of services. If you were under CADI, you had a different set of services. So each waiver had different services, so you couldn't cross services. So they wanted to make that easier for people. So in January of 2021, they condensed all the services. I do have a slide later on if you guys do want to see that, but so that was on a rolling implementation basis after their reassessment. Next, they just received legislative approval to go down to a 2-waiver system where they'll have like a residential waiver and then your individual waiver where that would fall into the people that live in the community. Along with that, everyone will have individual budgets. So they'll have a pool of money based on their needs to work with within those systems. We do not know how that will look yet. So right now DHS is going to start that whole process again of surveys, community meetings, all of that to kind of see what people want for that and try to develop a good long-standing system. And here's just another overview of the project, kind of what I had already said, where they're at, what they're looking to do. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see in the future what that will look like. And then again, here is that simplifying the service menu. On the left side, you can see all the different services, how they condense them into one service with a different name. So we're still all trying to learn all the new names. So adult foster care, corporate is now community residential services, and things like that. And then that's where down to the 2 waivers for BI, CAT, CADI, and DD. And then just the waiver types, what services will fall under each waiver. I think that's it. Thank you.
Couldn't repeat that, could you?
I talked too fast. I knew I was going to do that.
Oh, you did great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always good to come in on an annual basis,
Yeah.
just kind of share, but not, try to break it up because it's a lot of information. So we can right size, in a short amount of time, what we're doing and all the updates and the changes that come within Health and Human Service on an annual basis. It's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of services. This is 1 unit. I've got 4 units. So I've got Jenna Peterson is on the administrative side, when it comes to billing, and doing administrative services. I have, Catherine is that community health side, and doing grant work, and, she now oversees our public health nurses, that do family home visiting, and WIC and CCC. And then I have Lisa Chapin, which is that that eligibility, and SEP. So and she's got, I think, 15 different programs under her wing as well. So it's a lot of information. I think it's good to bring it to you at least once a year to show, some of the changes and updates, but a lot of hard work is done by the staff that we have under us, and they do an exceptional work, and I appreciate each and every one of them.
Jackie, or whoever, could we have that emailed to us, this presentation? Yeah, because there's so many numbers and whatever that it's hard to remember. And even the last, how the names are changing. To have that as a resource for us would be good.
Mike, will you send out this information requested by Commissioner Kircher?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I want to thank all of you, and I'm proud of all of you for your work you do. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very good presentation.
I have one question, Madam Chair.
Information, like-
How many new acronyms did you guys get this year, the last couple of years,
Yeah.
'Cause as a commissioner, you throw them at us and then we gotta go, okay, what the hell does that mean?
Well, that's
You
why I
know,
said
to be
that
honest-
last one is.
To be honest, Commissioner Newman, we have acronyms that they double and triple up on us across our program, so ICTS can mean 3 different things. So oftentimes when I'm having a conversation, I'll be going, okay, which one are we talking about? And so it's
Crazy.
alphabet soup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And then to think of all the work that Sourcewell supports us with as well. They are able to
Yeah.
give us some additional funding to help us try to be creative within our region. And take those opportunities when they exist among departments and counties, and really try to streamline them so one county looks similar to another county as best as we can, and services are, offered border to border.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Probation, Mike.
Oh, God, appreciate it. That 20 years flew by.
Oh, really? They got candies down there at Tutti Frutti's today?
Oh, they
Is it dried fruit?
Yeah,